My housekeeper's voice was shaking so violently I could barely understand her. "Bailey, please!" Maria gasped, her breath ragged. "Don't go home. Just pull over and check your security cameras right now." I was on the highway, driving back to my army base after dropping my in-laws at the airport. I laughed, thinking it was a mistake. After all, my husband of 15 years was supposed to be at his office. But when I pulled over and opened the live feed on my phone, my heart stopped. The camera in our master bedroom wasn't showing a break-in. It was showing my husband, his parents, whom I had literally just watched walk through airport security, and a team of movers. They were systematically packing up my life, laughing as they tossed my military medals into trash bags. That was the exact second my entire marriage fell apart. My name is Bailey Carter. I am 44 years old, a major in the United States Army, and for 15 years, I believed I had built an ironclad life. In the military, you learn to value structure, loyalty, and vigilance above all else. I applied those exact principles to my home. My husband, David, was a successful defense contractor, and together we owned a beautiful home. To anyone looking in from the outside, we were the ultimate power couple. Our daily lives ran like clockwork, largely thanks to Maria. Maria had been our housekeeper for 10 years, but she was far more than that to me. In a life filled with sudden deployments, Maria was my anchor, someone I trusted with our keys, our security, and our secrets. But behind the polished facade of our perfect marriage, a quiet storm was brewing. It came in the form of David's parents. To them, my uniform wasn't a symbol of honor, it was an inconvenience. They constantly dropped passive-aggressive hints that a real wife shouldn't be away on duty, treating me like an intruder in my own home. I always brushed their coldness aside, chalking it up to generational differences. I truly believed that as long as David and I stood together, their disapproval couldn't touch me. I was dead wrong. The betrayal was already locked and loaded, waiting for the perfect moment to detonate. They didn't just want me out of David's life. They wanted to strip away my dignity, my hard-earned assets, and my entire future. The morning of the betrayal started like any other, but with an underlying air of finality. My in-laws were finally scheduled to fly back to their home state after an exhausting month-long visit. I had my bags packed in the trunk, ready to head straight to the army base for a week of field exercises immediately after dropping them off. Just as we were about to leave, David's phone rang. He answered it, his expression shifting into mock panic. He hung up and sighed heavily, looking at me with pleading eyes. "Bailey, I'm so sorry," he said. "It's an emergency project meeting at the firm. High security. I have to go in right now." He kissed my cheek, apologized to his parents, and rushed out the door. I didn't think twice about it. I loaded their heavy suitcases into my SUV and made the hour-long drive to the airport. At the terminal, as I unloaded their bags, my mother-in-law did something completely out of character. She pulled me into a warm, lingering hug. "Take care of yourself, Bailey," she whispered, her voice carrying a strange weight I couldn't quite place. I watched them walk through the sliding glass doors and head toward the TSA security line, their figures disappearing into the crowd. Getting back into my car, I felt a massive wave of relief wash over me. The stressful visit was over, and I could finally focus on my duty at the base. I merged onto the highway, completely unaware of the trap they had just sprung. I was cruising down Interstate 80, the low hum of the road finally letting my tense shoulders relax, when my dashboard screen lit up. It was Maria. I swiped to answer, expecting a quick, casual question about next week's house cleaning schedule. Instead, I was met with ragged, terrified breathing that chilled me to the bone. "Bailey, please," she gasped, her voice dropping to a panicked whisper. "Don't go home. Just pull over right now and check your security cameras. I mean it." My stomach dropped instantly. "Maria, what's wrong? Is there a fire or an intruder? No, she whimpered. I forgot my keys and drove back to get them. I saw unrecognized cars in your driveway. Bailey, please don't come back here. Just look at the live feeds. The line went dead. My heart hammered against my ribs as I slammed on my brakes, steering my heavy SUV onto the gravel shoulder of the highway. My hands were shaking so violently in the quiet car that I dropped my phone twice before successfully opening our home security app. I tapped the master bedroom camera, fully expecting to see a stranger. What I saw instead defied all logic. David's parents were standing in our bedroom. The very people I had watched walk toward the airport security gates just 45 minutes ago were actively directing a team of professional movers. They were systematically stripping our home. Paintings were being wrapped, jewelry boxes were being cleared, and my personal belongings were being tossed aside. Stunned, I switched to the live feed in the living room. There was David, standing by our fireplace, casually pointing at our expensive electronics. I quickly tapped the audio icon on my screen, holding my breath in sheer disbelief as the camera's hidden microphone crackled to life. What came through the speakers completely shattered my reality. She has absolutely no idea. My mother-in-law's voice came through my phone speaker, sharp and dripping with malice. She was holding a silver vase I'd bought in Italy. By the time her military exercises are over next week, the house will be empty, the locks changed, and the papers served. David let out a cold, humorless laugh. The lawyer said the abandonment claim is foolproof. Since she's on a secure base with no outside contact, we'll claim she packed her things and vanished. But the best part? The allegations about the leaked military documents. It'll trigger an immediate security clearance review. Her military career, her sterling reputation, and her pension will be completely obliterated in one move. She won't have the resources or the clearance to fight us. And your business debts? His father asked, walking into the frame. Wiped clean, David replied smoothly. We declare bankruptcy on the contracting firm, liquidate everything in this house, and claim she stole the company's capital before she fled. It's perfect. I sat in my idling SUV on the side of the highway, the roar of passing semi-trucks vibrating through my steering wheel, but all I could hear was the pounding of blood in my ears. The man I had loved, the man I had supported through thick and thin for 15 years, was actively conspiring to destroy my life. Before I tell you what I did next, I'm glad to have you here. Follow my story to the end and comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. The sheer scale of their cruelty was breathtaking. David wasn't just leaving. He was trying to execute a strike to ensure I was too financially and legally ruined to ever demand what was rightfully mine. My military training took over instantly. In a crisis, panic is a luxury that only leads to defeat. Strategic, calculated action is the only path to survival. My first instinct was to slam my foot on the gas, drive back to the house, and confront David and his parents in a blind fury. But I knew that was exactly what they wanted. A loud, emotional confrontation would give them the ammunition to claim I was unstable, feeding perfectly into their false narrative. I forced my breathing to slow down, typing with cold, focused precision. I called Maria back. Maria, I whispered, keeping my voice level. Listen to me very carefully. Walk out of the house quietly right now. Do not let them see you. Do not say a word, and get to a safe place. I've got this under control. She promised she would, and hung up. Once I knew Maria was safe, I went to work. I pulled up the security app's admin panel on my phone. First, I changed the login credentials so David couldn't lock me out or delete the footage when he realized the cameras were recording. Then, I began downloading every single second of the high-definition video and audio files from that morning. I didn't just save them to my phone. I uploaded them directly to 3 separate, highly encrypted secure cloud servers used by military personnel, ensuring the evidence was completely untouchable. Next, I dialed my phone. I didn't call a friend to cry. I called a trusted military legal advocate on my base, followed immediately by a high-profile civilian divorce attorney known for handling high-stakes disputes. The counterstrike was officially initiated, and their trap was about to spring back on them. I was ready. What David had completely overlooked in his desperate rush to ruin me was a critical legal shield. Our home and my primary savings were tied strictly to my premarital military trust. To fund his failing business, David had actually attempted to bypass this trust by forging my signature on several loan applications, a felony that was now immortalized on my downloaded security footage. 2 days later, the trap was ready. David and his parents gathered at the lawyer's office, flanked by their civilian attorney, smugly prepared to serve me with the fraudulent abandonment papers and set their career-destroying rumors into motion. They thought I was still isolated on the military base, completely oblivious to their scheme. The heavy door opened, but I didn't walk in alone. Beside me was my civilian attorney, a military legal advocate, and 2 local police officers. The smug grins on their faces froze instantly. Before David could even speak, my attorney stepped forward and placed a thick manila folder on the polished mahogany table. "We are not here to negotiate," my lawyer said calmly. I slid my laptop across the table, opening the video file. "I believe you've all met my housekeeper, Maria," I said, looking directly into David's wide, terrified eyes. I pressed play. The room filled with the crystal-clear audio of David and his mother plotting to destroy my career, forge my signature, and steal my trust fund. The color drained from their smug faces, leaving them completely speechless in their expensive leather chairs. The fallout was swift and merciless. Faced with overwhelming video evidence and federal forgery charges, David's attorney practically begged for a plea deal. David was forced to declare personal bankruptcy, and his contracting firm collapsed under the weight of his exposed fraud. His parents' pristine social reputation was utterly shattered, and they faced heavy fines for conspiracy. My subsequent divorce was finalized in record time. Thanks to the ironclad footage, I retained 100% of my premarital trust, my military pension, and our home. I sold the massive house immediately, wanting no reminders of the betrayal, and bought a quiet townhouse closer to my base. I even helped Maria transition into a much better, higher-paying estate management position. Looking back, I realized that my marriage didn't just fall apart that afternoon. It was dismantled so that I could build something far stronger. Maria's urgent warning saved my future, proving that sometimes losing everything is the only way to find out what you're truly worth. Thank you so much for watching my story until the end. If you want to see how other families handle shocking betrayals, tap the video on your screen right now. I will see you right there.